So today I'm going to be working on a sulfuric stripping cell for the first time. I'm going to use this Pyrex dish as a cell. Up in one end I'm going to use this lead, create a cathode. Going to use copper mesh to create an anode basket. We'll see how it goes. So we're going to start the cathode by cutting a strip of lead from our sheet of lead here. Lead is great for the cathode. It won't degrade in the concentrated sulfuric. It's super pliable, super soft, easy to work with. So we'll get a strip cut, we'll form it into a cathode. So we have our lead strip. It's about half the distance of the dish, which we don't want it going down to the bottom. We're going to go ahead and form our cathode here by hand. Measure as we go to make sure that it fits nicely in the end of the dish. And there we are. Cathode is complete. For our anode, we're going to start with some copper wire here. We need a basket that we can pick up in and out of the cell as we load it with the junk jewelry and then the jewelry deplate. So we're going to use this copper wire to give us a hanger to hang our mesh on. That should do the job. So first we're going to bend that, make sure it fits in nicely, kind of form it up, and create that hanger. There we have it. For the basket itself, we're going to use 40 mesh copper. I'm going to go ahead and fold it over about 4 times here to give it a little bit of rigidity, get these edges set, and then start forming up the basket. I'm going to put the camera on time lapse here soon, but the key here is to make sure that your basket hangs nicely and it fits nicely in the cell so that we get good flow of electrolyte around it. So the basket is complete. See, it hangs nicely, fits in here. Given the mesh that we're using, I can tell that I'm going to need some kind of spacer so that when we load it up, the basket doesn't touch the bottom and short the cell. It's a little wide too, but I think it's going to work. So for spacers, I'm going to use a couple of these PVC bio balls that are made for aquariums. I'll place them so that when I place the basket, they'll sit on that, keep the copper from not touching the bottom, which will short our cell. So the last mechanical item we need is a power supply, a DC power supply. This one here I have, got off of Amazon. It gives us up to 30 volts, up to 10 amps, adjustable. So I think it should do the job just fine. So we'll get it unboxed here, get it hooked up. As we do it, the negative will attach to our cathode, the positive will attach to our anode. You see the little alligator clips that came with it for hookups. They're not copper, or they're zinc coated copper. Probably have to replace that out sometime with pure copper just to ensure we always keep a good connection and we don't get corrosion over time. But for now, we'll move forward with what came with it. So hooking up the red to our anode basket, red for positive. We'll always stick with the red for positive, black for negative process. And then we'll go ahead and hook the black up to the cathode. Knock some things around a little bit. Okay, plug the power cord in here. Get that plugged into our power. We'll go ahead and get this up off of here. Just if there's a spill, we don't necessarily want to get in electronics. And then we will go ahead and hook into the power supply to make a few adjustments. Keep these wires out of the way. And there we go. Turn on our power supply. We shouldn't get any current because there's no electrolyte. And we get nothing. I'll figure that out. So after a little troubleshooting, we're hooking back up here. Turns out when you plug the power cord in the back, you have to make sure it's fully seated or you get no power. Simple solution. So we'll hook everything back up here again. Black to cathode, red to anode. Really doesn't matter where you hook it on here as long as it's getting flow through. Turn it on. We can see our power supply's on. I have it set to 6 volts. Time for a test. So for our test run, so we have our cell, have a staging dish, and we have a rinse dish. We're first going to add some distilled water to our rinse dish. We're doing this because we are going to be putting concentrated sulfuric acid in the cell. We never want to add water to acid, and we don't want to take any chance we get splashes while we're adding this rinse dish, so we're going to go ahead and put the water in first. Our staging dish is going to stay empty. Essentially, we're going to take stuff out of the cell into the staging dish, put it to water, use it as an intermediary so that we, again, don't mix water with the acid. So finally, we have our cell. I'm going to use Rudo drain cleaner, which is 93% concentrated sulfuric acid. Cannot stress enough, this is the most dangerous part. This stuff will burn your skin on contact. It is nothing to be messed with. Make sure you have all your safety gear and you're very careful, very deliberate as you go through this. So we're going to fill our cell with the concentrated sulfuric up to the level of the top of the anode, or cathode, sorry. And then that's enough. Make sure we put away our sulfuric acid before we move on. Okay, and then we have our basket. Now, one thing I'm noticing is that my spacer balls are floating. They don't float in water. Sulfuric acid is much heavier than water, and they are floating in here. So I'm going to have to think that. For now, I'm just going to shove them under there. It should work once we get some weight on it, but ideally I'm not doing that. So I think we are ready to test our cell. So to test, I have some plated jewelry here. I am going to try refining the cell in the next few videos, as well as trying it out on plated jewelry, heavy gold electroplate HDE, as well as some gold filled. First, take a temperature read. It's cold out, just so you can see. My electrolyte is 46.7 degrees. It is 46.7 degrees outside, so it's a little bit chill. That's good because this will heat up the electrolyte as we go forward. So I'm just going to drop this one piece in here and hook the anode up. Cathode's already hooked up. So our current's flowing. If you look up by the cathode, We can see some foam forming, which tells us we have current going. As electricity flows through the acid, it's essentially going to dissolve the gold off of the piece and then redeposit it back out into solution as a fine black powder. I'm going to go on to time lapse here soon, add a few more pieces, but you'll see that powder start to build up and go forward. You also see that our solution is already heated up about 3 degrees to 49 degrees from 46. So we'll keep track of that as we go forward as well. All right, it's been about 45 minutes, which is longer than what I anticipated. On our power supply, we have an amp measure. Ideally, what we're going to see is the amps go down to 0 as the gold dissolves off and the current essentially can no longer flow. It hasn't quite gotten there yet. I'm going to go ahead and pull the basket out and take a look at what we have going in here. It's certainly going slower than anticipated. I think I might have some basket design issues. So we look at these pieces here, we can see there's still plenty of gold coating on them. It's coming off. The powder obviously is in solution as well. It's taking longer. There's a few pieces here that have completely stripped. We'll take those out, but we're going to go ahead and put the rest of it back in and let it keep deplating and see where we get. So we'll go ahead and place our basket back in. Going to go ahead and dump this acid that drained out back into the cell as well. Go ahead and hook it back up to the power supply. Okay, so it's been about another 30 minutes. I've seen the amperage decrease somewhat. However, I'm not sure that we really made much progress in terms of continuing to strip these pieces. We're going to go ahead and pull it out. I think I need to look at basket design. I may need to think about voltage. But anyway, it's getting cold outside, so we're going to pull it out, see where we are, and then we're going to go ahead and clean this up and shut down for the day. So first step of shutdown is going to take our copper mesh basket over to the rinse station, rinse the gold powder that's stuck in it off as much as we can, as well as rinse as much of the acid off of there for storage. We're going to take this acid here, put it back into the cell. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the cathode out of the cell, unhook it, and bring it aside. And because the acid, the most dangerous part is what's in the cell. It's this concentrated sulfuric acid. Before we go any further in cleaning stuff or whatever, we're going to go ahead and seal this up. It's going to do two things. One, it's going to protect us. I'm going to set it aside here, but it's going to protect us, but it's also going to keep water from the atmosphere get into acid and diluting our acid so that the cell continues to work next time we fire it up. Next, for storage of our copper basket, our anode, as well as our cathode, we're going to take this bin, going to fill it with clean water, and then we're just going to submerge our cleaned copper basket and anode in here for storage. So keep it from oxidizing so that it's nice and bright and we get good connections the next time around. Finally, we're going to rinse off the pieces we were stripping. Spray any of the gold powder that's got them back into the rinse bucket here. Set them aside. As you can see, as we go through these, there's a fair amount of what looks to be gold still on them. Not all of them, but if we look here, like there's obviously there's still a fair amount of gold on this. Some of these, on the other hand, completely stripped off. We'll set these aside, we'll dry them, we'll put them back in the cell after we make some modifications. See if we can't get them cleaned up. So once you've got those rinsed off, I'm going to wipe the edge here. We're going to reuse this rinse water plus. You can see there's some powder in there. It's going to settle. We're going to absolutely capture that. So we're just going to set that aside and continue using that going forward. So it's cold, so I'm going in. Couple of thoughts. I think my basket shape is a bit of a problem. It prevented the good flow of electrolyte through that upper. It was hard to remove. I had used the tweezers on part of it, and it needed those spacers. So I'm going to look at modifying that to eliminate those problems. Also, I'm pretty sure I need to fine-tune my voltage, as well as the spacing of the anode to the cathode. I need to find that balance of heat versus speed. Right, that concludes this video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, want to see more like them, please like, subscribe, and comments are always welcome. Thank you.